Tip for the comments now. Where's the edge? That's our first one for today. Thank you, son. Okay, here you go. Thank you. All right, now on to crazy things. Now that I've got every single piece of stuff over here that I could think, every prop that I have. All right. So where is the edge? That's a very good question for flat earthers. If we are on a flat plane, then there must be an edge of some sort, right? But ODD is going to go a different way. Let's see which way this guy goes.
So where is the edge?
Yeah, where's the edge, motherfucker?
Who's to say that there is an edge? And
oh, what a way to get around the question. This is dodging 101. Who's to say there even is an edge? I don't know.
why assume there is one? Is it because when we are introduced to the idea of a flat earth, it's always depicted like this?
Well, I mean, maybe, or maybe, you know, I mean, the whole idea that there's not an edge just doesn't seem to make sense, because then that would mean there's like an infinite plane outside of that, or like what would be outside of it? Like there has to be like an end to it, no? I mean, there's always an end to something. Like infinite is an abstract idea that we as humans have cooked up. So there's got to be a finite end to it. At some point there is an edge.
In the currently most accepted model, Antarctica is not a continent, but a 360-degree landmass made up of ice that holds the oceans within.
Oh, okay. See, I always liked this one in particular, this particular model, because it has like the land masses all kind of screwy and everything like that. That's because when you try to project a spherical object onto a flat surface, you get distortions in some kind of way. There's no perfect like projection of a sphere onto a flat surface. That's why there are so many different projections out there that have benefits to each one. This particular one, as you can tell, has all the continents with funky aspect ratios. Also, Antarctic is stretched out and everything like that. So in order for this to be true, that would mean that like you would have like these really weird land formations for Antarctic and in Australia and Africa and all these other places. Like it just doesn't make sense.
When we
Antarctica, whatever. What did I say? Whatever. Antarctica.
look at a Gleason's map from 1892 that states at the top that it's scientifically and practically correct.
I like how he says it's scientifically and practically correct. Yes, the projection is scientifically and practically correct because they projected the spherical model onto a flat surface. So, I mean, it's correct in that way, as in it represents all the land masses in the correct longitudinal areas and everything like that. Like, it's fine for that. But that doesn't mean that that is the actual physical plane. Yes. Okay. All right.
As is. We see this Antarctic ice rim. The Gleason's map is basically an azimuthal equidistant projection, which can be traced back to the year 1000. The AE map is also an official map of the United States Geological Survey, the USGS, and the official logo for the United Nations.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, it's a projection of a spherical object onto a flat surface. It's one of many. Like, it doesn't, like, there are many different ones. So I don't understand why, like, the USGS using this particular one for any certain thing, or even, what's that? Is that NATO? I can't remember who he said that was. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who uses it for what. It's not like a representation of what the Earth actually is.
The oldest known globe in the world is from 1492. This is something you need to keep in mind because many people argue that the azimuthal equidistant map is just a flattened out version of the globe.
Oh no, honey, he figured it out. He knew exactly which way to turn me around.
Oh no.
Oh no.
When in fact, the globe is just a rounded version of this true world flat map.
So let me get it straight. Let me get this straight. So instead of being like, oh, it's just a projection of a spherical object onto a flat surface, that's why we get all these weird like distortions in the land masses. Nope, it's actually the other way around. It's actually wrapping this map onto a sphere. See, honestly, it's a moot point here because it goes both ways. But the fact that we took a spherical object and mapped it onto a flat surface, thereby explaining the distortions in land masses, that is the indication that it went spherical to flat and not flat to spherical. Okay?
If the flat map came first and it has the ability to convert into a globe without any problems whatsoever, then that should tell you a little bit about how this globe deception was achieved. Now, back to if there is...
Wait, how is the globe deception achieved? What, just because you can work in reverse from the flat like AE map to a globe? That, I mean, that's really dumb. I mean, like I said, there are multiple projections, and each projection will map back onto a spherical globe because of just doing the reverse of what you already did. Of course, is going to get you back to where you started.
Is an edge or not? There is no proof that there is an edge past the Antarctic ice wall, but it is speculated by many that perhaps the plane that we live on is either extremely expansive or it's possibly endless.
It is not endless. It is not infinitely expansive. There are people that have literally flown around Antarctica, right? Antarctica, right? They've flown around it one way and then flown back around it the other way, knowing that it is actually a circular kind of continent down there. Not only that, but of course we do have pictures from like the ISS and stuff that show it that to be that way. But he's not gonna accept that. But the fact that we have people that have circumnavigated Antarctica and haven't like suffered these massive distortions that are on the AE map, I think would kind of indicate that, you know, this whole expansive like infinite plane of just ice is total and utter bullshit.
In these two scenarios, it would be logically assumed that more land is being hidden from the general public. In a 1954 interview with...
Like, why? There's literally no, like, good reason as to why that would need to be hidden. Like, if there was an infinite expanse, I don't think that we would be worried about, like, overpopulation. We would just figure out how to live like Eskimos and go and venture out into the expanse. Captain Miller, been waiting to do this for a very long time. I wish I could watch you all day long. Well, thank you, Captain Miller 132. I really appreciate it. I appreciate everybody that watches my videos. You guys make all of this worth it. And you guys are the reason why I do this. So I appreciate it. I really do. So now we're going to go over Byrd, and he's going to be very dishonest when he talks about what he's about to play.
Admiral Richard E. Byrd, an American naval officer who specialized in exploration, he had this to say.
But strangely enough, there is left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole, from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
So Artemis Brain Sample said it's pronounced Bran Sample. I think maybe Bran Sample. I still don't fucking know. I'm sorry. Scott Seufert, Captain Miller sounds like a stalker. Y'all can stalk my ass all you want to. Okay, so basically, Admiral Byrd was talking about Little America, which is the camp that he was at in Antarctica. And the land mass, the area that's as big as the United States is Antarctica. So what he's talking about is the area beyond his camp on Antarctica being, bigger than the United States. And so, I mean, that's what he was talking about. He's talking about how Antarctica hasn't been explored. That's because of how cold it is. It's also because of just various environmental factors. So it's just talking about Antarctica. It's not talking about a vast expanse or whatnot outside of what we know to be Antarctica.
Implying that there is more land past Antarctica. If that uninhabited land was on a globe, it would be in the Indian Ocean.
No, it would be Antarctica. Captain Miller, stalky, stalk, stalky, stalky, stalk, stalk.
A recent discovery of an old Buddhist map in a newspaper from 1907 seems to support the idea of a vast plain with much more land.
Okay, this is the weird thing about flat earthers, is that they place more emphasis on older maps and appeal to like, I guess, tradition almost. Like, oh, here's an old map that looks like what would, suffice my particular model, therefore it's correct. And I mean, I don't know why we should trust this particular map versus like the globe map or any other map for that matter. The fact that it's an older map means that it has outdated information on it, and you should definitely use newer maps. So they use this appeal to tradition a lot in order to convince people. And I don't know why that's convincing. Maybe the appeal to tradition is just convincing in its own right for some reason. I don't know why, but it's an odd thing, which for ODD TV being odd is his name. Where does the sun go if the earth is flat? I don't like the woman that reads these questions, so I'm just doing my own thing. I see Captain Miller looking through your window. What the hell? Get out of here, Captain Miller! No, I'm joking.
Where does the sun go if the earth is flat?
Like, seriously, you're a rapper. You couldn't get somebody with a decent mic? I mean, that's horrible sounding. You gotta be more hillbilly with it. Where does the sun go if the earth is flat?
Well, the sun neither rises nor sets, but travels in a clockwise circuit from east to west, and only appears to rise and set due to perspective.
I always love this part when they start throwing perspective at us. It's like, oh, it's just because of perspective. It's like, okay, well, when I use perspective in order to explain things to you, you just throw it out the window and it's wrong. But when you're trying to explain to me how a small and local sun, not burning up our atmosphere, is traveling around our heads, we're supposed to use perspective or understand perspective in order to know that when it goes across the sky and it goes down below the horizon, it's actually just going far off into the distance. Oh, I'm sure.
The sun disappears at the vanishing point of human perspective on the horizon where the ground meets the sky. And
Captain Miller just sent a devil face. I don't know. I feel like I should be worried. It's like, I'm watching you, J.E. Keep it up. Hi, son.
Look out.
I know you're working out.
People, need to work out.
Okay. Son, I'm doing my live stream, so let me do my live stream, okay?
since the sun is not 93 million miles away. I repeat, not 93 million miles away, but much closer and smaller, the light emanating from the sun.
Wait, why would it do that exactly? Like, hold on, maybe I can go back a little bit.
Not 93 million miles away. I repeat,
It travels
not
up that way,
93 million miles away,
and
but much
down,
closer and smaller,
and right,
the light
okay.
emanating from the sun only.
Like, I don't understand why it travels down beneath our feet if that's perspective. Like, that's not how perspective works. 132 over 200 people are watching you right now. Be skirt. Not skirt. This does not explain what we see in the sky. And you cannot actually tell me that it's not 93 million miles away. For one thing, we have, measurements that we can take of the sun, through parallax and all this other shit, where we can actually measure it. We can measure its rate. What is it called? Damn. It's like the angular size. Angular size. Sorry, it took me a second. I need more beer. Splashed on my face. So the angular size, you can measure the angular size in one location and measure the angular size in another location. And then using that, you can actually determine how far away the object is and how big it is and all that other stuff, just because of how light works. And so that's how we know that it's actually 93 million miles away. This right here doesn't explain a sun in our atmosphere just rotating around. Like, will we expect it to see it get smaller? Yeah. Do we actually see it get smaller? No, we don't. The radial size does not change enough to warrant a small and local sun.
It illuminates about half of the flat plane at once, as it.
Sorry, the angular size. Also, notice how weird the sun's like light dispersal pattern is here. It only lights up the specific area that it needs to light up, because that's how like the Earth is lit in general. Like, that's how it's lit. But they have to have these weird light dispersal patterns for it to work. Just watch.
Makes its daily journey.
Oh, well, shit. Sorry. Okay, so. Nah, and then it sets. Okay, so right here, it shows the sun, as you can see, without the glare, without all of the extra stuff that is like causing you not to be able to see its actual edges. So right here, it's actually shielded enough to where you can kind of see the edges a little bit. It actually has not changed in angular size all that much, at least not to visibly detect with your eyes. But since, it was high up in the sky and it had like the giant light rays and everything where you cannot see the edges, and then it goes down. Like, he uses just like what you see, and the fact that you cannot see the edges should indicate that you might need to look at it a different way. You can look at it through different lenses to where you can actually see the sun like more defined, and you can track that through the sky, and it won't change in radial size. This right here, or angular size, it won't change. So this right here is just bunk. Trace Mitchell, pilot charts are tapered for a globe curve. Anyone can be a pilot. True. Anyone can be a pilot. What's underneath the flat Earth?
What's underneath the flat Earth?
This is obviously an unanswerable question, since.
Oh, it's obviously unanswerable. Just like with where's the edge? Oh, well, who's to say there's an edge? Dodging the question 101, ODD definitely has a master's degree in that.
The assumed edge has never been known to be reached, but many people suppose that whether the Earth is round or flat, that either way, it still must be floating in the middle of outer space. But the idea of outer space goes out the window with the round Earth theory.
Wait, what? So with a globe Earth, there's no space, but with a flat Earth, there is space? What kind of dimension are we in? Are we in backwards like land or something?
Many religious texts support an immovable Earth that has its foundations on which it is laid, and its pillars by which it is supported.
So, let me get this straight. Goat herders in the BC era that were more likely to have sexual relations with their livestock knew more about our place in the galaxy and cosmology and astronomy and all that. They knew more about that. The guy having sexual relations with a goat knows more about it than modern day scientists. Okay. Means no. Don't screw the livestock, and you don't know what you're talking about when it comes to cosmology.
We simply don't know, but we do know that the Earth is obviously fixed in place, as we can tell by our everyday experience of non-movement.
Okay, our everyday experience of non-movement. We're moving at the same speed as the surface of the Earth, so of course we're not going to be able to feel the movement because we don't feel movement, we feel acceleration, either in the positive or the negative. Oh, okay. Thank you, honey. Yeah, I knew I was missing something for tonight. There you go, guys. Remember, ba means no. So that's the reason why, you can jump up and down and nothing's going to move or whatnot. It's the same principle as being like on a train. When you jump up and down on a train, you don't go flying 50 feet back because the train just leaves you behind. You're moving as fast as the train is. So when you jump up, in relation to the train, you're staying still. But in relation to some point on the ground, you're moving really fast, and so you don't land in the exact same spot. Artemis brain sample. The first Christians were from the Iron Age. Damn it. Well, I don't mean he was appealing to older religions and people and whatnot. So I was just saying I'm fairly certain that they had relations with goats back then too, and sheep.
What we see in the skies above are illuminated objects making circles around us just as it appears.
So it makes more sense to you that they're just illuminated objects being illuminated some way. I don't know how, but apparently he's got some idea, maybe. I don't know. But apparently they're illuminated and they are moving around us instead of us, revolving and because of our place on Earth, because of our perspective, we see them rotate around us. Obviously the entire universe revolves around the Earth. That makes so much more sense than Earth revolving and the entire universe doing whatever in the hell it does.
Whatever this place may be, it's the center of all we survey.
Oh my goodness. Now, honey, not only do we have the moon and the sun that orbit in our atmosphere, but we also have all of the planets that are orbiting in our atmosphere.
What?
All of the planets are in our atmosphere.
Is that how it works? By what I know about the solar system, no.
My 8-year-old son just said you were dumb.
Some say that the Earth is the floor of the universe. In the ancient Hebrew conception of the universe, we are surrounded by the waters above and the waters below, known as the Great Deep.
It's the reverse snow globe theory, guys. See, it's a reverse snow globe because we're covered in water, which, by the way, I want to say, apparently, he has no problem with water sticking to a quote-unquote ball when it's shaped like this, but when it's the Earth, he has a problem understanding frickin' gravity. But now it's like, there's a great deep and there's pillars that hold us up on, I don't know, shits, giggles, and dreams and fairies.
I mean magic turtles.
The deepest hole ever drilled into the Earth was a total of about 7.5 miles. The very core of the Earth is nothing more than wild speculation, if not another malicious lie.
Well, no, it's not a malicious lie, and it's not just speculation. We can send seismological waves into the Earth, and we can, depending on their strength and everything like that, when we detect them on the other side or whatnot, we can determine what the center of the Earth is made out of. And that's how we know what it's made out of, because we've done these particular tests and we've thought through it logically, as opposed to you that just pulls stuff out of your ass. Scott Suford, okay, that's it. I'm gonna need to self-medicate. Cheers, Scott.
So what's under the Earth? That remains a mystery to us all. But another thing that you can research is what's inside the Earth.
What is? Oh no.
Multi-billion-dollar deep underground military bases known as DUMBs.
As DUMBs? Did you legit just say that there are deep military bases underneath the ground called DUMBs? This is from Resident Evil. Like the first one. What are you even saying? Like this
He's dumb.
Yes, he is dumb. Maybe he is the dumb. But so you're telling me that the government hid inside Resident Evil the plans for all of the DUMBs, these underground facilities across the entire world, through a video game movie that really wasn't all that great. I mean, it was decent compared to other video game movies, but still, this is ridiculous, and you have no information at all on which to base this on. You got no facts whatsoever, but then again, you're ODD TV. You don't need facts. You have wild-ass speculations that you pull out of your rectum.
DUMBs, right?
Maybe that's kind of a troll, and he's like, you're dumb if you believe this, but hey, we're going to call it dumb and just sort of shove it right in your fucking face. Terrence Clark, look up seismic thumper trucks. They're hardcore. Yes, the seismic thumper trucks. That's how they send the sound waves through the earth. They beat on the earth, and you can detect exactly what material the earth is made of in like underneath you. We don't need to drill all the way to the center of the earth. That's ridiculous, and it sounds like a really bad Aaron Eckhart movie. I wonder how many people got that reference. I know KC didn't.
What about ships and boats disappearing over the horizon?
Jesus. What about you gotta do this right. What about ships and boats disappearing over the horizon? Okay, so I don't think that I actually go through this. I think that maybe this is the first one that I really skip over, but basically, they say that, you just zoom in and you can see the ships and whatnot. If you want to look at my video earlier this week where the convex Earth people actually prove that there's a curve, but there's a point at which the boats will indeed go out of view and you can't actually see them anymore, no matter how much you zoom in on them. This guy, of course, says that, oh, you just can't see that far at all. I don't think so, considering that we can use our telescopes to look out into the universe millions of light years away and shit. So don't tell me that we have a limited range in which we can view through like telescopes and stuff. We would be able to see the shit if it was actually flat. What about all the pictures of the Earth? So, what about all the pictures of the Earth? Obviously, some of them are Photoshop because the satellites that take pictures of the surface of the Earth, they're taking them at a close range, so they have to composite and put them all together. And sometimes there are like breaks in them. There are gaps and whatnot. And so what you have to do is you have to fill them in, and that's where the whole it's Photoshop because it has to be. That's where that comes in. And they want to take a lot of things that like astronauts and everybody says about this kind of stuff in order to cast doubt on whether or not it's a real picture of the Earth. But what we have now are different satellites and different agencies that have taken full pictures of the Earth and have put them out. So, I mean, he wants to cast doubt on it and say that it's just all CGI, or you can really just recognize what it actually is.
And what about all of the pictures of the Earth?
Artemis Brain Sample, my next video about globes is going to be so timely. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm doing boxing training over here.
I know. Why are all the other planets round? He's going to have an interesting answer for this one.
Why are all the other planets round then?
Mars,
When you
Jupiter.
compare amateur footage done with professional grade cameras and compare it to NASA's official images of planets and stars, it's clear that NASA images are all computer generated, no different than the photos of Earth.
Okay, they're not computer generated. Okay, we have satellites and stuff that can take better pictures than your frickin' P900. Okay? Just because you can't take a crystal clear picture of Saturn or Mercury or anything, Mars even, just because you can't take it doesn't mean that NASA can't take it with their frickin' telescopes that are on satellites that orbit the Earth. Just because it goes against your preconceived bias towards the flat Earth doesn't mean that it's just all CGI. But then again, deny is part of the basic plan for any flat earther. You get presented with any information that contradicts your own, deny it. Say it's CGI, whatever you got to do. It doesn't matter how dishonest it makes you look. You just got to deny it. And that's exactly what he's doing here.
What have become known as planets are round lights that seem to be set over the flat Earth. The so-called planets and stars are not what we have been told they are, and comparing luminous objects that you see in the sky to the Earth under your feet is very ineffective for actually proving the supposed rotundity of the Earth.
What? This doesn't make sense at all. Like, not one bit. You're like, instead of there being planets out there millions of miles away and all this other stuff, you would prefer to think that they're just placed on top of the dome. Like God was like, I don't know, sprinkling some like little planet dust on top of the Earth, like and like that's apparently how he created the stars and planets and stuff. I mean, there's no evidence in which to support this, and it's hard for me to rebut it because there's just no supporting evidence for his weird theory, other than the fact that he believes in the Bible or any other like past religious idea about the universe. But you would think that you would want to use newer information that has better information. Cutthroat Juggalo, drop this video a like, people, please, and thank you. Thank you, Cutthroat Juggalo. Yes, like the video if you haven't already. Please do.
Since there are no actual photographs of the Earth and motion has never been experienced or proven, it would seem more logical for one to assume that we are...
Okay, movement has been proven. Oh, it's the pendulum. Was it called was it a Foucault pendulum? A Foucault, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. Foucault pendulums can prove the rotation of the Earth because of how long the string is for the pendulum. The rotation of the Earth causes it to behave in a certain way, and that's how we know that the Earth indeed is rotating. The stars also prove that we are rotating. There's multiple different proofs of the rotation of the Earth. So don't give me this shit about how there's no proof because all you're doing is being disingenuous.
On a flat, motionless plane, and everything we see in the heavens revolves around us.
What about satellites and GPS? Okay, so basically with the satellites and GPS, what this guy does is he says, oh, these aren't actually real. What they are fake CGI. Why can't you see them in the sky? There's so much junk up there, and GPS is done by triangulation, which isn't wrong. GPS works by triangulation, but the whole global positioning satellite means that there's satellites in the sky. You got to have at least 3 satellites in the air above you in order to get a GPS signal, but he thinks that it's just cell towers. And I have to tell you something, that when you're out in the middle of the woods where you're like 50 miles from like a satellite tower or whatnot, and you just don't have any signal, I bet you still have GPS, because the satellite, the global positioning satellite is made so that at any one point on the Earth you have at least 3 GPS satellites in the air. So there's that, and then he says that like the internet or whatnot is transmitted through ground wire and everything on the seafloor. That's true. Most of the internet stuff is done through ground wires or whatnot, but there are some instances of it needing to be through satellites, like satellite TV, for instance. He just basically denies anything that doesn't comport with his own bias, as far as the flat earth goes. And he just pulls anything out of his butt, and he dismisses things without good evidence to dismiss them with.
What about satellites and GPS?
Is outer space even real? Xander, is outer space real?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Even my 8-year-old son knows it is.
Is outer space even real?
Xander just said, what are you flat earth idiots think you're doing?
Yes and no.
Wait, yes and no? Like, what is this about?
What you see in the sky, as far as stars and wandering stars, also known as planets.
Wandering stars is what ancient people used to call them because they didn't know planets existed. Just like this guy who's living in frickin' 5000 BCE.
Are there. How could we deny them? We don't know what they actually are.
Yes, we do know what they actually are. Most of them are burning balls of gas that are giving off illumination. You say that they're just illuminated objects with no explanation as to how they're being illuminated. You're also not explaining why or how exactly they are moving around us or anything like that. You're not explaining any of the forces like that. You're just pulling shit out of your ass yet again. Scott Seufert, $2 for the 8-year-old.
But they are there. Now, what we are told about outer space and what it is not true at all.
Wait, okay, so now it's incumbent upon you to tell me exactly what evidence you have to suggest that I need to just wipe my memory clean of all the information I know about space. Also, all of the images that independent observatories and everything like that have captured of like planets and solar systems and everything outside of our solar system and whatnot. You just got to explain like a whole mountains and mountains of evidence, like Mount Everest amount of evidence in order. So I'd love to see where you go with this.
Everything we believe about so-called outer space is due mostly to Hollywood movies and other media, including children's cartoons.
No, it's not. It's due to independent scientific endeavors in which to study the universe on the whole. It's not because of frickin' Aladdin or whatever other cartoons that you want to watch. There's a little part in there where it has planets and space and stuff like that when he's talking about the cosmos.
Of course, NASA propaganda is the biggest culprit.
Oh, NASA propaganda. You mean the astronauts that are on the ISS right now that are not on a soundstage or anything like that?
As we have already gone over, there are no pictures of Earth, and
Wait, why
even images of all the other so-called planets are computer generated.
Are you serious right now, bro? How? See, here's what I don't get, okay? This guy right here has 1 million views on this entire video that he has. And yet he's stealing video blocks, stock footage, and putting it in there. And making money off of it. I go through great lengths in which to get free to use images and videos and stuff like that. But this guy just steals stuff and doesn't suffer any kind of consequences for it. That's bullshit.
NASA has gone on record numerous times stating that humans can't get past low Earth orbit.
Okay, I know where he's going with this. This is wrong. I mean, NASA has said that currently, right now, we can't travel past low Earth orbit because we don't have vehicles that can travel past low Earth orbit. That doesn't mean that we have, like, in the past, not been able to go past low Earth orbit. Obviously, we have. In case you don't know, the Van Allen radiation belts are the thing that's preventing us right now. The magnetic field of the Earth causes a bunch of radiation to be trapped around the Earth in 2 to 3 bands of it, where it's high, a very, very intense amount of radiation. So during the Apollo missions, what they did was they launched and they went through the weakest portions of the field, and they only spent a couple hours in the field, which amounted to about 2 to 3 chest x-rays worth of radiation. But these people right here like to paint it as a bigger problem that we can't go out of it now. We had to decommission the Apollo stuff, and then they didn't have funding to go back to the moon or to develop new things. They also didn't have a good reason to go back to the moon, so there's no reason to leave low Earth orbit. That's why they built the shuttles that they did, and those were designed to sit in low Earth orbit or whatnot. And so now we want to get out of low Earth orbit and we want to travel places, so we're having to develop technology now that it can move. We don't want to pull out old Apollo technology and send people up like that. Why would we do that? We don't have any of that old technology anymore. One.
NASA's next spacecraft, already being built and tested across America, will do those things and more.
This is the spacecraft that's going to take humans to explore the solar system. It's the next big step for NASA in exploration.
I like look at his shirt. Money is slavery. Money is slavery. Hold on. Yes, money is slavery. You need money in order to like eat and live and all that other stuff. I can guarantee you this guy right here actually does use a whole lot of money. He probably makes a lot of money doing his flat earth shtick too. He also makes a lot of money making his rap videos. I'm fairly certain this guy needs money and still uses it.
Get out, Illuminati.
Called the Orion Multipurpose Crew Vehicle, or MPCV, this next-generation spacecraft will enable America to explore beyond low Earth orbit.
Right. Puffalophagus 360 in the chat there pointed out how we use microtransistors in electronics nowadays, and no longer do the older analog transistors and whatnot, and that's the reason why those were a lot more durable. The Apollo missions did have shielding on them to help with the radiation, but the existing aircraft and whatnot and all the electronics and everything actually held up against the radiation to reduce it enough, but they still added some. But yes, that is the reason why we don't have access to that old of technology anymore.
As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. Sensors aboard will record radiation levels for scientists to study. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space.
Well, yeah, for that particular aircraft. It's not that we haven't solved it before with other aircraft. Fuck. Somebody said Space Force! Alright, sorry, I'm just having to pull this up yet again, and it's giving me a little bit of trouble and stuff, and remote shooting, and then it's gonna do live shoot, and it's gonna track my face, and oh look, it's tracking me. Okay. Alright, I'll try not to let that happen again. Alright.
Plan that NASA has is...
Okay, son, I'm doing a stream right now. Can I please just... Okay. Event Horizon, FE Fundies, big part of pushing me to look deeper into the Bible and find channels like GE, and this community ultimately became an atheist. That's pretty cool there, Event Horizon. I'm glad that you did that. I don't know how much of an influence I had on that process, but I'm glad that I could have been a part of it.
To build a rocket called SLS, which is a heavy lift rocket. It's something that is much bigger than what we have today, and it will be able to launch the Orion capsule with humans on board, as well as landers or other components to destinations beyond Earth orbit. Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go. And this new system that we're building is going to allow us to go beyond and hopefully take humans into the solar system to explore. So the moon, Mars, asteroids, there's a lot of destinations that we could go to, and we're building these building block components in order to allow us to do that eventually.
Yeah, so he's talking about currently right now with current technology. It's not that we've never been to the moon before. We haven't been past the Van Allen belts before. The Apollo missions were only engineered to get to the moon and land on the moon and stuff. There's been no reason for us to have to go back to the moon.
And unlike the previous program, we are setting a course with specific and achievable milestones. Early in the next decade, a set of crewed flights will test and prove the systems required for exploration beyond low Earth orbit.
Now, ODD is kind of framing this disingenuously because he's trying, at least when I first watched this, he made me think of the Apollo missions is what he was talking about. But I'm fairly certain what Obama's talking about here are the actual shuttle, like the shuttle program. And I think that the shuttle program had unachievable goals or whatnot. It had a lot of issues. And I think that what he's talking about here is the new program, like the new direction for NASA of where we want to go and the goals that we want to set. But he's framing it as, oh, the Apollo missions never fucking happened because, but now we're going to make it happen.
Low Earth orbit is supposedly between 99 and 1,200 miles away. The funny thing is that they say the moon is over 200,000 miles away. How did we make it so far in the 1960s and 70s if we can't do it today?
Well, because we developed technology to get us there with the current technology at the time. We haven't had to go back to the moon. There's been no reason for us to go back to the moon. So now we need to develop new technology to get past low Earth orbit. We didn't need to go past low Earth orbit to do what we wanted to do in the shuttle program. So that is the reason why. It's a very mundane and simple answer, but they just throw this shit right out the window.
Also, the International Space Station, just like everything else brought to us by NASA, is a fake Freemasonic hoax, completely fabricated and done with special effects, models, pools, zero-G planes, and various other camera tricks.
Oh yes, the ISS is definitely a Freemasonic hoax. This guy right here, he's spot the fuck on, okay? It's Freemasonic. You can see it right there on the hole. We all signed our names. Freemasonic number 1, number 2, number 3, and that's just what we fucking did. So, yeah, making up stuff and in order to explain why it's fake instead of actually giving us good reasons why it's fake has been the hallmark of this entire video. I mean, he literally just says it's Freemason. It's like a Freemasonic hoax, but he doesn't actually prove how it is that. He doesn't show any actual evidence that it is a Masonic hoax. He doesn't show any evidence of how it's not actually there. When you can go to Red's Rhetoric's channel right now, Red's Rhetoric, his channel right now, and you can see him filming the ISS traverse across the moon. You can go to Professor Stick channel right now, and you can find a video where he times how long the astronauts are caught on camera being all 0G, and comparing that to how long you're 0G in those seismic... Okay, son, I got it. Thanks. I know. I know. The 0G flights, they are only 0G for like 30 seconds at a time because they fly in sinusoidal patterns. So there's only about a 30-second time span for them to actually be 0G, but the astronauts are 0G for minutes upon minutes in their broadcast. So the 0G flights don't make any kind of sense. So everything that he's saying here, he's just pulling directly out of his brown star. So this is going to have to wait for next week, but how is circumnavigation possible on a flat Earth? And I'll go ahead and I'll summarize this one now, because he's just going to say you can easily just circumnavigate. You just go like normal. I don't think that this is a good question to pose to flat earthers, and that's why I don't suggest using it, because, I mean, obviously they can just sail around the waters in a circle. They are, of course, going to make up some kind of bullshit about, how compasses work and all that other stuff. And they're just going to deny and go with what they already think. Like they'll literally just think of a random explanation with no evidence and say that that's how it happens or that's how it works. So that's what differentiates them from me, though, is that I have to have actual evidence while they just get to pull stuff out of their butt. So, but that's it for the video. I appreciate everybody stopping by tonight. If you only came for the video, like I said, appreciate you. Leave a like before you leave out. We're going to be going over comments now, which are just going to be fantastic. Okay. I know.
I might be shirtless, but it was because I was doing boxing.
I was gonna play with him before comments. All right, you ready? Let's go. Sing a song. Xander's got a ukulele and he's pretty good. My dog has AIDS.
Weirdo.
Thank you, buddy. All right.